What is up, everybody? It's your boy Phil Shocker, the United States Hedgehog here with our VBL Week 3 Team Builder here. As you can see, we have not played VBL Week 2. As I'm recording this video, I have already played Week 2 on the day that this is also going to be recorded. So yeah. But yeah, we're going against the Drift Veil Doug Trios and Coach Pyman, who is the last season's champion. And oh boy, do I have my work cut out for me. This is going to be a battle of just bulk and speed, in my opinion. This matchup does not look too favorably for me, but I think I have a decent chance to kind of come out on top here with the win. It's just going to be how I play that can determine a lot of things. So, looking at Pine, first, if you guys are new here, leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe to the Shocker Crew today because you'll be really with the King of the Crew. Also, happy holidays from you guys here from the Frill Shocker. We are literally 12 days away from Christmas Eve, and we are a week and a half away. Well, roughly a week and a half. Arguably 2 weeks away, basically. Not, what am I saying? Yeah, let's just say a week and a half, just so I sound smart. Week and a half away from Christmas. That is legitimately the most craziest thing to expect, especially with how fast this is going by. So, yeah, but let's look at Pyman's team. He has got Spectre, Noivern, Rotomwash, Skarmory, Scolipede, Blaziken, Quagsire, Sylveon, Dugtrio, and Sneasel. He's got a lot of good fast things like Sneasel, Dougie, Noivern, Spectre, and Solipede. So I am definitely going to have to plan to bring Trick Room this matchup, obviously. But he's also got some annoying bulky Mons in Rotom, Skarm, Quagsire, and Sylveon potentially. He doesn't have a ton of physical offense. His main physical offense is going to be obviously of Scolipede, Blaziken, and Sneasel, and Dougie potentially. He's got some very powerful special role breakers in the form of a potential Sylveon, Rotom potentially as well, Noivern, and Spectre. Looking at this team, my team is very much pressured by a lot of things, and I really kind of struggled on what I wanted to build and bring this week. So let's go ahead and just break down his team. I don't think Sneasel comes. I think I have way too many good answers to Sneasel that I think he just probably would not feel that comfortable. Like, Cofagrigus lives any one hit from Sneasel unless it's Choice Banded, and then you can just run Cold Barrier, then do an Iron Defense with Body Press to knock that thing out. Darmanitan checks it. Um, Hatterene basically checks it. Ferroform beats it. Crobat can outspeed and knock it out, pretty much. Garchomp being Scarf knocks it out, and then even with the Yachi Berry, I can still knock it out really too well. So I don't really think it's going to come. Dugtrio is something I could potentially see brought. Excuse me, guys. Whew, I was trying to hold in that sneeze. He's got Dugtrio. I don't really know if Dugtrio comes. There's not a lot of things on his team that really kind of handle Dugtrio really that well. Uh, Stuff that can basically handle most teams on my team with Dugtrio. But obviously, I can just run a Scarfer, knock that thing out, and then he just forces into bring potentially Scarf, so that's what another reason as well. But overall, excuse me, I think it would perfectly be fine for fine Brain versus me, but I don't think it's going to be that good versus me. Sylveon is something I do potentially see him wanting to bring versus me because Sylveon is a very annoying mon for my team to deal with. But Sylveon's kind of bit of pressured as it does a lot of setup fodder potentially because I don't know if it's going to run Toxic or not. And I do have good answers to Sylveon in the form of Crobat, in the form of Darmanitan, which clicks a hit. Ferroform Walls, even with the Mystical Fire, can basically knock that thing out unless it's got up a Berry. Garchomp can take at least one fairy hit regardless, and then be able to, if it's already in a sweeping position, it can basically claim a KO essentially. So, but Sylveon is definitely something I can see him potentially wanting to bring in case he needs something to wall things like Hatterene potentially, or any type of special set of variations I have. Excuse me. So there is that. Quagsire. Now, Quagsire is something I can expect him to bring. I can expect him to bring double water versus me, as the double water pretty much amused my um my what's it? God, I'm not even thinking of it right now. It's gonna be one on my head. Obviously things like Darmanitan would be a big problem for, like, if you look at Darmanitan versus this man's team is very, very annoying for him, and it can pretty much cause a bit of a problem for him. So Excuse me. I just overall think that this is going to be something that, is going to be the thing that he's going to be in. But yeah, Quagsire can be just an annoying deck that I could potentially set up with something and be unaware and then just be able to handle my team. So there's a lot to factor in with that as well. But for the main six, I think 100% Spectre is coming. My Dark type is Skuntank, but in my honest opinion, I felt like Skuntank didn't fit the matchup this week that well. Seeing that I only need it for the Spectre, if there was a Psychic type on this team, I would definitely make sure I did pack a Dark type on my team. But looking at this team, I really don't see how Skuntank helps. If Scolipede gets a +2 up, Earthquake beats it, Skarmory walls it because I then have Force to run Focus Blast and can just knock me out. Blaziken can just pretty much hurt me. Same thing with Rotom, it can pretty much hurt me. Like there's so much of his team that can just kind of handle Skuntank. And yes, it could potentially force him to bring something like Dougie versus me, which Dougie doesn't do too well against. But again, it's one of those instances where excuse me, where it kind of can't do too much. But yeah, but look at the team. Spectre comes. I think most likely a Specs or potentially Scarf variation could come. It could be Scarf to outspeed potential Scarfers on my team, like say the Garchomp, the Rotom. Well, actually, yeah, the Rotom, Darmanitan, just a lot of those type of things, you know. Noivern, I definitely think comes. Noivern probably comes as is probably Specs variation because Specs Noivern is not very fun to switch in. It could potentially be heavy duty boots Noivern as well and be his defogger, or just heavy duty boots with Roost, Flamethrower, Hurricane, or just like 3 attacks. Rotom, I think, comes relatively physically defensive in this game with leftovers, potentially with Will-O-Wisp and such as well. I think Skarmory just comes as a very annoying physically defensive wall, or maybe Spidef wall, or mixed defensive. It's just so annoying to have to fight. Scolipede, I think, is just going to be set up 3 attacks, or set up with sub SD with speed boost, and then just probably run most likely Earthquake and probably. I mean, here's the thing: he's kind of forced to run both his stabs because if he doesn't bring at least Mega Horn, he can't hit Garchomp super effectively or really strongly. And again, if he doesn't bring Poison Jab, he could bring if he brings both doesn't bring Mega Horn, then he can't hit Ferroform that strong. He can just run Mega Horn versus Hatterene, but does he really want to risk a miss one Hatterene where Trick Room could be set up? I don't think so. So there's that. And I do think Blaziken has a good merit chum. Because if he doesn't bring Blaziken, then he honestly has a very hard time struggling to break through Ferroform. Because then his only way to really break through Ferroform is really a Specs variation of Spectre, which is a good likely chance still to be brought in Flamethrower and Noivern. If he doesn't bring that as well, it also kind of just stops. And also, it's another answer for Darmanitan to potentially stop Darmanitan from sweeping. Especially if I'm Choice Scarfed and he's Scarfed, or if I'm Choice Banded and he figures out I'm Choice Banded, then he's gonna be like, oh, okay, I gotta make sure I keep this thing around. It outspeeds and wins. So, and also provides a lot of good physical offense as well from its dual stab and fighting. I really kind of struggles a bit switching into dual stab, so there's that as well. But looking at the team we are bringing this week, we are bringing once again, Cofarigas. I know it's a little bit risky to bring Cofarigas when there is a Ghost type and a Dark type, but I don't strongly think his Dark type comes. And even if it does come, it's not going to be that much of an issue. I do have Cofarigas, though. Excuse me. With the Cassette Berry, which is the Ghost Reducing Berry, max HP, max special attack, modest nature with forward speed. I don't need to run Quiet this week as it is not necessary and beneficial to me in this point. But we are running Trick Room, Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, and Body Press. Body Press is only there in case the Sneasel is there. Otherwise, we set up with Nasty Plot and we click Shadow Ball and we basically claim a KO, or we 2 a KO something. I do have to be careful with Copper gets getting potentially poisoned and stuff like that. And I do need to be careful how I click my Trick Room tools. I am bringing 2 Trick Room users in this matchup, which can somewhat benefit me, but also hurt me at the same time. There's a few of my speedy mons that can take advantage of it, but not the best. Oh my god, I am so sorry for yawning so much, guys. I don't know why I'm so tired. But yeah, Koppergigas can put a lot of work in this game. I think potentially could just win this the game as well. The goal is to hopefully not get too weakened, and if I could set up a Trick Room in front of Spectre, that'd be great, because then it forces Spectre to be swapped out. And then what I would honestly do is I would probably click Shadow Ball instead of going for the setup. But again, if I can get this thing in and click Trick Room first and then get a setup right there, I basically claim a KO or I 2 a KO something. Or he just lets me really, really weaken the team down. So there's that as well. Going into the next mon we have here is Thorny. Thorny making his comeback again this week. We are breaking Ferroform this week as he doesn't really have the best way to handle spikes. I can bring Stealth Rocks over spikes, and Stealth Rocks kind of help. But again, I think I want him to be over prepped for Stealth Rocks and running things like heavy duty boots and stuff like that. Like spikes would be good. Stealth Rock still is good for things like Skarmory and Blaziken, but spikes do more to Blaziken than they would do for any beneficial team. If you really look at some of the stuff he can bring, spikes is better to bring over Stealth Rocks, and plus again, it forces him to prep with heavy duty boots on some of his mons. Even though yes, the 25% chip on Scolipede would be great, if Scolipede is potentially heavy duty boots, it's going to be something I need to be very, very careful about. But we are running Spike, Starter Ball, Power Whip, and Knockoff. Max HP, 52 defense, 204 Spadef. We're bringing more of a Spadef Ferroform as a way to kind of handle the Spectre and hopefully coming on it. If I can figure out if it's specs right out of the gate, that's really good. We are running lefties instead of the Okoberry. Lefties a little more appropriate this week as it can kind of handle a couple more things on his team. Yes, the chances of burning the Spheroform with a Will-O-Wisp from Brotom is very, very unfortunate. But again, if we can just have Ferroform just get the spikes up and also kind of just pressure by getting rid of items is going to be very, very good for us. Again, Ferroform is one of those mons that can put in good offensive pressure while not being offensive, and it just provides the best defensive pressure that we need for teams to face off against with. Going to our next mon, I believe making her debut is Hatterene. We are bringing Hatterene this week. We are going to probably actually change this nature to we'll just go modest just to be safe. But we are bringing a modest Hatterene this week with Trick Room, Giga Drain, Psychic, Mystical Fire with the Life Orb. Basically, this thing wants to claim a KO, and it just wants to hurt something. We are running a little bit of investment for defenses because we don't really necessarily need to make max special attack, which is really good this week. We're running 56 in defense for a little bit of defense, so where we can take at least one, potentially one Mega Horn non-boosted. We can also, I believe, take one Poison Jab not boosted, unless it's a Life Orb or Extra Belt. 60 in Spadef just to give us a little bit more Spadef boost. But we are running Trick Room because, again, his team is super, super fast. Even if his slow things are not slower than this, which is relatively good for us. We are running Trick Room, Giga Drain, Mystical Fire, and Psychic. Now, the reason why I don't have a Fairy type move on here is because the Fairy Stab, honestly, is not necessary. Yes, Fairy Stab is good to check things like Noivern and the Sneasel, but if you really look at the rest of his team, Fairy Stab doesn't really do that much. It doesn't really help against the Spectre, where again, if I get this thing outside of Trick Room, it's not going to do too much. It doesn't really help that much against Scolipede, doesn't have that much against Blaziken, even though it's neutral. So we're going to run Psychic as our main stab attack, because Psychic hits about every single thing again, except for Sneasel and Dougie, but again, we have coverage for Dougie in that sense. But besides that, nothing really wants to take a Life Orb Psychic hit. The Giga Drain is there for the Quagsire and for the Rotom, so we can be able to 1v1 those things. Mystic Fire obviously is there for a way to hit the Sneasel. It's also a way to pretty much be able to make sure Skarmory can't beat me in a 1v1 situation. And again, if I can find out that it is Spadef Skarmory or a physical Skarmory, that would be really, really, really good. So, overall, I think this team has great influences and stuff, so I'm really hoping it pairs up well with it. And I think Hattery can honestly put in so much work. We're rating Shark this week with Expert Built, Scale Shot, Earth Blast, Scale Shot, Fire Blast, Earthquake, and Outrage. I'm going to probably change the item. I don't know what exactly item I want. But I'll probably run something that can maybe help defeat physically defensive Skarmory. Maybe we'd be Expert, maybe it's going to be Life Orb, I don't know. But with this set, we pretty much hit everything for super effective to neutral damage. The Scale Shot with the boost will make me faster than Choice Scarf. Blaziken with the speed investment, because we are running 72 in HP, max attack, adamant, 4 in defense, 4 in speed, and 180 speed. The speed lets me be faster than Blaziken. I'm never going to be faster than Scolipede no matter what. I'm never going to be faster than Noivern unless I get a boost. So I only need the one boost really for the one situation. And again, if he is Scarf Spectre, I will know that right off the gate as if he is faster than my Shark, because again, if Shark's +1, it's faster than everything on his team. But if Noivern comes in and if Spectre comes in and they're faster than me, then they confirm that they are Scarf. So actually, I might run Assault Vest then. Assault Vest actually wouldn't be that bad on Garchomp here. I might do that. I'll look at it. I'll into it. But basically, Fire Blast, even though with the minus special attack nature, if it's physically defensive Scarm, it's either a 2-hit KO or it could potentially knock it out depending on investment. But other than that, Scale Shot is there for the boost, and it also hits pretty hard against most of his team. Earthquake Spam is pretty limited, but it can do a lot of work. And then Outrage, if there is no Fairy type, and Skarmory has been weakened to the degree where Outrage can pretty much go in, I could safely lock in and not Outrage and pretty much claim a KO. There are a few instances where Protect can be a little bit annoying, but I think honestly Garchomp can put in a lot of offensive pressure this game. Up next, making his debut is Batman, the Crobat. We are running the Nasty Bat set. This is a set that pretty much dominates most of his team. Now, I would like Sludge Bomb to handle Sylveon, but against Sylveon, I think it can be actually handled relatively well against a couple other things on my team. And plus, I think he's not going to run Psychic coverage for Sylveon with Sylveon, so I'm pretty safe to say it's not going to be able to do. I think like something like Wish Protect, Hyper Voice, Mystical Fire makes a lot of sense versus my team. But we are running Crobat here with the Black Sludge. Now, I'm debating on whether or not I want to run a certain speed creep on Crobat to where if Crobat's faster than a speed creeping Spectreer, because more likely or not, he's probably going to just speed creep for my Garchomp and then potentially slap a Choice Scarf on that again, because he might think I might force myself into a Scarf and he can bring Scarf and surprise me. But basically, Crobat's job here is to basically set up a nasty plot and try to break. It could potentially be a potential win con in the late game because Giga Drain handles, well, like I said, handles Rotom switch in. It can handle the Quagsire relatively well. We do have Heat Wave there to handle Skarmory, so Skarmory is not a nuisance or a problem versus me. And we do have Air Slash as our main form of stab, as it can pretty much KO everything that we needed to KO. The only thing Air Slash is going to maybe struggle to break relatively would only be Sylveon, but if we start getting boosted, then it's not going to be that much of an issue and a problem. Against Sneasel, I can live at least one hit from Sneasel unless it's banded. So again, even if I do run the speed crap with the whole investments and stuff, again, I can live at least one hit that's Ice Shard range. Now, I might run the speed creep for Sneasel, I may not. I don't really know. It just really depends on what I think I need to do that's best for this mon. But I honestly do want to bring Nasty back Crobat because it's a set that a lot of people sleep on for the fact that Crobat's special attack is only 20 off from its attack, and I think this set legitimately can just win me the game if I can potential it right. And you know the thing with Garchomp and DK here, they actually can kind of take advantage of the speed again. Like I said, these two mons are the only two speed mons I have that can actually reliably rely on Trick Room if built correctly. So we have Darmanitan here, and you can see he's ready to nuke someone. Choice ban. If that is a max HP, max defensive Rotom, which I do not think it will be, it roughly is 2-hit KO. And if it is not max defense, then it is guaranteed 2-hit KO'd by Flare Blitz even after leftovers. We do have Trick on there to potentially get away the choice ban to something that could be a nuisance, like if Spectreer comes in. If this is 1v1 Spectreer, I might potentially trick that. Tricking a choice ban on a Skarmory would be very, very, very risky, but in the end, it would actually benefit us more because then if he has Defog or potential Roost, then we cripple those two moves. And if he does have maybe something like Dual Stab or Whirlwind, he's kind of forced into the Whirlwind effect where he kind of has to do that. And again, that's where Magic Bounce comes into play as well. Magic Bounce really helps relatively well as well. Even though Magic Bounce doesn't really help us when it comes to Defog. Defog would still work where it clears the hazards, but it's a little bit annoying. But other than that, DK here can just basically plow. We have U-turn there for pivoting. Earthquake is there just pretty much for the Quagsire. I only really need Flare Blitz. And Earthquake's only really there too in case I get rid of the choice ban. And I want to be able to hit Blaziken for super effective damage as well. So pretty much that's the team. Again, I'm going to look into items and maybe some moveset changes right here. But that's the gist of it. Thank you all so much for watching. Leave a like if you haven't already. Subscribe if you're new. Join the First Struggle crew today because you'll be filled with the king of the crew. And until next one, guys, I'll see you guys later. Until next one, guys. Peace.